Somewhere right now, a man is sitting in a cubicle, doing everything right. He shows up early. He stays late. He never complains in meetings. He has done this for 11 years, and he is no closer to free than he was on day one. He thinks the problem is that he hasn't worked hard enough. He is wrong. The problem is that he has been playing the wrong game entirely, and no one has ever told him there was another one. That man is probably you, or he was you last year, or he will be you again next year if nothing changes. So let's change it. Here is the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Getting rich is not complicated. It is not reserved for people with rich parents or rare genius or perfect timing. It is a small number of decisions, repeated correctly, over a long enough period of time. The reason it feels impossible is not because it is impossible. It's because you have spent your whole life inside a system that benefits from you never finding out how simple it actually is. A tired employee is a reliable employee. A confused employee doesn't ask for equity. A grateful employee doesn't negotiate. So the system doesn't lie to you exactly. It just never bothers to teach you the parts that would let you leave it behind. 2,500 years ago, a general named Sun Tzu wrote a short, brutal text on how wars are actually won. He wasn't writing about money. He was writing about armies, terrain, deception, timing. But strip away the swords and the chariots, and what you're left with is a manual on how the strong outposition the weak, and the weak outposition the strong, using nothing but better information and better timing. Every line of that text applies just as cleanly to a man trying to escape a paycheck-to-paycheck life as it did to a general trying to take a province. We're going to walk through it law by law, and by the end you'll understand exactly why your effort hasn't been converting into wealth and what you actually need to do about it. Stay to the end, because the early laws are uncomfortable, and the late laws are the ones that actually make you money. The first thing you need to accept is that you are fighting the wrong battle. Sun Tzu opens his entire philosophy with a single idea. Know the terrain before you commit to the fight. Most employees never do this. They take the first job offered. They accept the first salary suggested. They stay in the first city they happen to be born in. And they call all of this being realistic. It isn't realistic. It's unexamined. You are committing your one finite life to a battlefield you never actually surveyed. Before you ask how to make more money, you have to ask a more basic question. What terrain am I standing on, and does it even allow for a win? If you work in an industry with shrinking margins, declining demand, and an oversupply of labor, you can work as hard as a human being is physically capable of working, and you will still lose because the terrain itself is against you. This is not a motivational problem. It's a positioning problem. The fix isn't try harder. The fix is stand somewhere else. Look at where capital is flowing right now, not where it flowed 20 years ago when your parents gave you career advice. Look at which skills are becoming scarce and which are becoming common. A carpenter with rare, specific expertise in restoring historic buildings is not competing with 1,000 other carpenters. He has found terrain nobody else is standing on. Find yours. Second, you have to stop trading your hours and start trading your output. This is the single most expensive mistake a 9-to-5 worker makes, and it's so normalized that most people never even notice they're making it. When you're paid a salary, you are paid for your presence, not your results. Whether you solve one problem or 10 in a day, the number on your paycheck doesn't move. Sun Tzu talked about using the enemy's own weight against them, about never meeting force with equal force when you could instead redirect it. Translate that into money, and it means this: stop selling time, because time is the one resource you cannot create more of. Start selling outcomes, because outcomes can be multiplied infinitely. A man who is paid $40 an hour to answer support tickets is selling time. A man who builds a piece of software that answers those same tickets automatically and sells access to 100 companies is selling an outcome, once, forever. The income is no longer chained to his clock. This is why the goal is never just get a higher paying job. A higher paying job is still time for money. It's a faster treadmill, not a different track. The goal is to find or build something that pays you for a result that doesn't require your physical presence to repeat. It might start as a side project on weekends. It might be slow and small at first. But it is the only door that actually leads out of the building you're currently trapped in. Third, deception has a place, and the deception you need most is the one you're running on yourself. Sun Tzu wrote that all warfare is based on deception, that you appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak. So the enemy never reads your true position correctly. Most people apply this idea, if at all, only outward, pretending to be more successful than they are on social media, which is mostly useless and occasionally embarrassing. The deception that actually matters happens inward. You have spent years telling yourself a story about who you are and what you're capable of, and that story was usually written by other people. A teacher who said you weren't a numbers person, a parent who said safety mattered more than ambition, a culture that said wanting more money makes you greedy. None of those stories were written with your wealth in mind. They were written for other purposes, to keep a classroom calm, to keep a worried parent comforted, to keep an economy supplied with predictable workers. You are allowed to rewrite the story, not as fantasy, but as strategy. Decide deliberately what story you are going to tell yourself about your own capability, and then act in a way that makes the story true. This isn't mysticism. It's simply refusing to let your self-image be designed by people who had no stake in your financial future. Fourth, speed only matters in the right direction, so stop confusing busyness with progress. There's a line in Sun Tzu about how a long, drawn-out campaign exhausts a state even if it eventually wins, and that the truly skilled commander wins quickly or doesn't engage at all. Apply this to the 9-to-5 worker grinding 60-hour weeks at a job with no upside. Speed in the wrong direction is just a faster way to arrive at nowhere. You can be the busiest person in your office and the poorest person in the room, because busyness was never the metric. The question is never, how much am I doing? The question is, how much of what I'm doing is actually compounding? Answering emails compounds nothing. Building a skill that the market pays a premium for compounds everything, because tomorrow's version of you can charge more for the same hour than today's version can. You don't need more hours in your week. Most people who feel like they have no time have plenty of time. They just have zero leverage on the time they have. An hour spent learning to write code, close a sale, or build an audience is worth more than 10 hours spent perfecting a report your manager will skim for 30 seconds. Stop measuring effort. Start measuring compounding. Fifth, you win the fight before it starts, not during it. Sun Tzu's most quoted idea, often badly paraphrased, is that the skilled strategist creates conditions where victory is already secured before the first move is made. For you, this means the work of getting rich mostly happens in private, long before anyone sees the result. It happens in the unglamorous hour after work, when you're learning the skill nobody's paying you to learn yet. It happens in the unremarkable weekend, when you build the first version of the thing that doesn't make money for another year. By the time anyone notices you got lucky or got a big break, the actual battle was already won months or years earlier, quietly, by someone who decided to prepare while everyone else waited for an opportunity to show up uninvited. This is why patience gets such a bad reputation in get-rich-quick spaces, and why it's actually the entire game. You are not waiting for luck. You are constructing the exact conditions under which luck becomes statistically inevitable. Skill plus visibility plus repetition applied long enough doesn't need luck. It manufactures its own. Sixth, you must know your own resources with brutal precision, because you cannot strategize from a blurry self-assessment. A commander who doesn't know exactly how many soldiers he has, how much food remains, how exhausted his troops are, will lose to a smaller force that knows its own numbers exactly. Translate this to your life. Most people have no real idea how much money moves through their hands every month, what their actual hourly value is, or what skills they currently hold that the market would pay for. You cannot build wealth from vague self-knowledge. Sit down and get specific. What do you actually earn per hour once you account for the hours you don't get paid for, commuting, unpaid overtime, the mental energy you spend worrying about work after you've clocked out? What is your actual monthly spending broken down to the dollar, not the rounded-up guess you tell yourself? What skill do you possess right now that, if you spent one focused year sharpening it, could be sold directly to people who need it, without an employer standing in the middle taking a cut? Most people never answer these questions because the answers are uncomfortable, but discomfort is cheap. Staying lost is expensive. Seventh, the smallest weak point beats the largest strong point every single time. Sun Tzu repeatedly emphasized concentrating force against an enemy's specific vulnerability rather than spreading effort evenly across an entire front. The employee trying to get rich by being good at his job overall is spreading force evenly, and evenly spread force rarely breaks through anything. The person who gets rich finds one specific, narrow, painfully underserved need and throws everything they have at exactly that point. Maybe it's a tiny, unglamorous niche inside a boring industry that nobody fashionable wants to talk about, but that has buyers with real budgets and real urgency. Boring and underserved beats exciting and crowded almost every time, because the exciting, crowded space has 100 other people also throwing themselves at it. Look for the gap nobody is covering, not because it's invisible, but because it's unglamorous, and most people would rather chase status than chase a paycheck. You are not most people, not anymore. Eighth, formlessness is what makes you impossible to defeat, so stop building your identity around a single employer. An army that always fights the same way, in the same formation, becomes predictable, and predictable things get beaten. A person whose entire financial existence depends on one employer, one paycheck, one set of skills frozen in time, is exactly that. Predictable and therefore vulnerable. The goal isn't necessarily to quit your job tomorrow. Plenty of people built their way out while still collecting a salary, using that very paycheck to fund the bridge to something else. The goal is to stop being formless in only one sense, totally dependent, and start being formless in the sense that matters, capable of generating income through more than one channel, adaptable enough that no single layoff, no single bad manager, no single industry downturn can take everything from you at once. Build a second skill, build a small side income, even a modest one, not because you'll get rich from the side income alone necessarily, but because the act of building it makes you someone who can no longer be cornered. Ninth, you have to actually want it more than you want comfort, because the two are frequently incompatible. Sun Tzu observed that soldiers who believe they have an escape route will take it, and that sometimes the strongest position is the one where retreat isn't available because it forces total commitment. Nobody is suggesting you burn your safety net for drama's sake. That's a foolish reading of an old idea. But there is a real psychological pattern worth naming. As long as your brain believes that staying exactly where you are is fine, it will quietly sabotage every attempt you make to leave. It will tell you the side project can wait until next month. It will tell you the discomfort of learning a new skill isn't worth it tonight. Comfort is an incredibly persuasive liar because it isn't wrong about anything in the short term. Staying is genuinely easier today. The only way past this is to make the discomfort of staying bigger in your own mind than the discomfort of changing. That isn't accomplished by hype. It's accomplished by getting specific and honest about what 10 more years of the exact same paycheck actually costs you. Not in money, but in the version of your life you'll never get to live because you spent it waiting to feel ready. 10th, and this is the part that closes the loop, victory has to be followed by consolidation, or it evaporates. A general who wins a battle and then immediately scatters his gains, fails to fortify what he took, will lose it to the next opportunist who shows up. This is precisely what happens to people who get a small financial win, a bonus, a raise, a good month from a side hustle, and immediately convert it into a lifestyle upgrade rather than a foundation. The upgrade feels like proof you've made it. It is usually proof of the opposite. It's evidence that the money passed through you instead of building anything for you. The people who actually escape the paycheck cycle treat every early win as ammunition for the next move, not as a reward for the last one. They reinvest the first profit into the skill, the tool, the asset, the inventory, whatever moves them one step further from needing the job. This isn't about deprivation forever. It's about sequencing. Consolidate first, celebrate later, once the thing you built can no longer be taken from you by a single bad quarter. So here is the entire structure laid bare, with nothing mystical left in it. Choose terrain where effort can actually convert into a result. Stop selling hours and start selling outcomes that don't need your physical presence to repeat. Rewrite the internal story that was handed to you by people with no stake in your financial life. Measure compounding, not busyness. Do the invisible preparation before anyone is watching, so that by the time they notice, the outcome already feels inevitable. Know your numbers with total precision instead of comfortable vagueness. Attack the narrow, unglamorous gap instead of competing in the crowded, fashionable one. Build more than one channel of income so no single failure can take everything. Make staying feel more costly in your own mind than the discomfort of changing. And when the first win arrives, fortify it instead of spending it. None of this requires a rare gift. None of it requires being born into money or knowing the right people from birth. It requires doing a short list of unglamorous things in order for long enough that the results stop looking like luck to everyone watching from the outside, even though you'll know exactly how it was built, step by deliberate step. That's the whole secret, and it was never really a secret. It was just never convenient for anyone to tell you. The terrain is in front of you. The only question left is whether you're willing to stand somewhere new.